The one part of this, if you said to me, what's the Niners' biggest issue? I think it's the run D. I mean, as far as on the defensive side of the ball, we can talk about the offense, but on the defensive side of the ball, and you look at those numbers in the preseason against Vegas, they gave up 120 yards rushing. Against the Chargers, they gave up 267 and over 6 yards a carry. Against Denver, they gave up 165 yards, 6.5 a carry. Then they go week one. They had a big lead against Pittsburgh, and Najee only got 6 carries. Pittsburgh still ran for over 4 yards a carry. Then Kyron ran the ball well against them in week two, but the Rams, came out and Stafford still threw it a lot more than they ran it. Then they get no Saquon Barkley in week three, kind of lucked out. James Conner ran for almost 5 yards a carry, but the Niners got up on the scoreboard in week four. And, even Tony Pollard only got the ball 8 carries in week five. And the Niners, Dak got impatient, threw 3 picks. Niners won by 32. But since week 6, when they went up against, Cleveland, who had the number 3 rush offense in the game, Cleveland got 4.7 a carry, and they committed to the run, 34 carries. Then the next week, Cousins picked them apart, but people don't, look at the fact that the Vikings, I think, had the 29th best rush offense, and Alexander Mattison still ran for almost 5 a carry. And then this last week, the Bengals had the worst rushing offense in the league, and Mixon still averaged 5.4 a carry. Where are you with the run D? Because, it seems like it's all on Greenlaw, all on Warner. And, the Eagles are waiting there in week 13 with a top run D. Lamar and the Ravens on Christmas, that's the number 1 rushing offense in football. And they now have discovered this kid out of ECU, Keaton Mitchell. I just think that the Niners run defense is, if you look at it, the numbers, they're like 5th or 6th in the league in rushing yards per game against. But then when you look at them, what's actually happening the last few weeks, they're really not stopping the run. What do you see with their run D, Croc?
I think over the years, one thing the 49ers have been able to do very well is take teams out of their run game. You talked about that with like the Dallas Cowboys, where it's like, you know what, Pollard, you're going to be an afterthought because we're going to jump on you guys and we're going to get ahead. The one thing I wish that they would do a little bit more is like get some beefier guys in the middle. Like they have like tall, lean guys. I think maybe Kinlaw was supposed to be that a little bit, but he's kind of been obviously like up and down, a little bit more down than up. But Hargraves, like he's not the big, like where are the 6'4", 340-pound defensive tackle that only comes in for 2 downs that like, hey, you're just in here to stop the run, and they just don't go to that style of a tackle. They want these guys that can penetrate and get upfield right now. So, I think even DeForest Buckner, like he wasn't the best run stopping tackle, in the league. I would like to see them get like a big body to help on some of these early downs to where, hey, yeah, he's only coming in for a down or 2, but he's going to stop the run. And they've been missing that since they let go of DJ Reed. DJ Jones. Yeah, DJ Jones.
And they missed DJ Jones. I was a little surprised they didn't get some other run defender. All of their tackles, by the way, Givens, Kalia, Hargrave, they're all these one gap penetrator, get up the field, rush the passer types. The only guys who really play the run, you would think, would be like Kinlaw and maybe Armstead to some degree. And they're both 6'7" guys that, can lose leverage. They don't really have that. How much do you think they miss the personnel as far as their run D? This team, like in the last few years, Hassan Ridgeway, Samson Ebukam, really good edge setter, Jimmy Ward, K1, you want to go back a couple of years, Jaquaski, even Mosley, definitely Al-Shaair. All those guys were pretty good against the run. They all were on this defense at some point over the last few years, and they don't have any of those guys now. How much of their run struggles do you think are personnel-based?
That could be a big part of it, right? Like you have to start paying other guys more money, the Nick Bosa's, the Deebo Samuels, the Fred Warner, Trent Williams. The Christian McCaffrey. There's so many guys that are like the highest paid or near the high, or maybe were the highest paid at the time they signed their contracts, that you start to lose some of those guys that really help and contribute in other ways. So in case that does happen, that's why I keep going back to the offense. It's on you to pick up the slack for the defense if they're not on their A game for a game. And I think that's where we look at these last few games. I think a lot of people are really focused on it. If you score more points, then you would help maybe overshadow a lack of, strength in the run game on defense. Get teams out of that. But it kind of goes hand in hand. The defense has just carried the team for so long, and people are like, "Oh, that's their identity." But I think right now the identity needs to be the offense, but they got to step up a little bit more.
Yeah, no, they totally do. I mean, they got, first of all, 17 a game is just going to put an awful lot of pressure on your defense. To me, one thing I want to see going forward, and Shanahan's not the best at this, but I really think it's the time to focus on this. Play complementary football, run the ball. I know they got the ability to score quick. We've seen it, but run the ball, dominate on offense a little bit. Possess the ball, keep your defense on the sideline, protect your defense on offense a little bit more. Sometimes I wonder if that's even a thought. They almost seem like they run independently of one another. That's one thing I'd like to see, is just the offense just try to possess the ball a little bit more and take those snaps down for the defense a little bit so they can have a little bit more juice, a little bit more high energy. Because to me, the defense looks, obviously Greenlaw's dinged, but they look kind of gassed, and it seems like they look like a team that's played 12 games, and they got, their offense has to do a better job of protecting the defense, I think, going forward.
Yeah, I think early on the offense did a really great job of that, and it put so much pressure on opposing offenses to try to keep up with them. And that, just the long sustainable drives, I feel like they were scoring every time they had the ball, 30 plus points a game through 5 weeks. I want to say it was like around 33 points per game, right? So that put a lot of pressure on those opposing offense. And you talk about like kind of helping each other out. That's when they did. But the moment the defense had really some laps, and now it's like, hey, they're exposed. Maybe not as good as it looked like on paper early on. Well, all right, offense, we need you to pick it up. And then hopefully they do. So, I mean, that's what I'll be looking for when they play against Jacksonville, right? Like if Jacksonville's offense comes out and they do well and they score some points, can the 49ers offense score with them to really help out a defense that's not playing its best football right now?
I'm eager to see how well these teams run it. I mean, Etienne goes for 3.9 a carry. They got a mid-pack rush game. Are they going to be able to run it at will? Rachaad White the week after against Tampa, he's going for 3.4 a game, or 3.4 a carry, I should say. They're the 30th ranked rush offense in football. Can Tampa run it on them? Can Seattle run it on them? I mean, we know the Eagles and the Ravens are gonna run the ball. But these other teams on their schedule in the second half, Arizona, Seattle, Tampa, Jacksonville, if these teams all run the ball with a ton of success, man, it is going to be a tough season to kind of regain their footing.